morning, everyone. It is Thursday. Yeah, I think it's Thursday, April 2nd. It is a sunny day outside, yet it is still in the 40s. I am so looking forward to warmer weather. I want to get outside without having to layer up and worry about whether or not it's going to trigger a migraine. I'd love to be able to just go for a couple walks a day and just, be outside because I'm tired of being inside. Anybody else tired of being inside? Yeah, thought so. Okay, so we are going to continue our velvet vegetables that I talked about yesterday. Today, we are going to be making not the strawberries. These are not strawberries, Anna. These are tomatoes. We're going to be making the tomatoes, okay? So let's start with talking about fabrics. All right, I really prefer cotton velveting for my velvets. I like that there is a little more body to the material. They're a little firmer. They're going to give nice firm sides. This is not saying you can only use cotton velveting. I have used some of the silk rayon blends. They're very soft. I believe the eggplant, I think, was in one of those blends. They're going to be much softer bodied. And we'll probably want a firmer inside or maybe a lining. Okay. You could definitely use wool. The wools that we used the other day for the pen wipers could make a really cool primitive style tomato. Of course, they don't have to be solid. They could be a print. I was thinking even tropical wool, tropical weight wool might make an interesting primitive tomato. You might want a little lining for that. But generally those have a nice dense weave and could give you a decent amount of body. In my stash of pincushion materials, I had this chunk of silk. I'm like, yep, that would be a good one to show. This could make a fun little strawberry or tomato. Even the chili could be cute. This I would do another material under it as a lining, okay? Or you could do an interfacing because, it doesn't have to be a period project this week. Let's try to make sure the sun doesn't come in because we don't want to blind anyone. Sorry about that. It's really not working this morning. There's a lot of heat behind these curtains. Okay, so on the blog post, I'm going to put some hand-drawn templates. Now these are drawn by hand and just photographed because the scanner's not here yet. Today we want to use the one up here that says tomato. Okay. Now here's the neat thing about this project is if you don't have a printer at home, it's not a big deal because you're just going to make a leaf shape. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. They don't even have to be exactly alike because, a real tomato isn't symmetrical all the way around. Some sides are bigger, some sides are smaller. You might have a bulge here, you might have a dip there. That's the neat thing about this project is you can stretch the rules because, well, they're not really that firm of rules. Okay, so you'll notice it's a leaf shape. This is a narrower leaf shape than the template. Here's the template. This is narrower because I want to squeeze it out of a piece of fabric. Okay, now you're going to want to cut 3 or 4 of your leaf shapes, okay? Now this guy is actually 5, so you could cut 5 leaf shapes if you want, okay? This guy's 4. All right, so you're going to cut those. Then you're going to take 2 of them, put them right side together, okay? Now you're going to notice I did cut those by freehand. Grab your needle and thread. And we're going to do a running stitch or a back stitch, okay? If you tend to be a newer sewer or a younger sewer, you might find that a back stitch will be better and get you more of a secure line, because when we turn these right side out, there'll be a little bit of pressure on those seams. And give yourself about 1/4 of an inch in from the side. Okay, and you're just going to do one long side here. Bring this up so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. And go along that whole side. It really is amazing how much warmth comes from behind these curtains with the sun. It's great for in the winter if you can get some sun, because it does give some warmth. In the summer though, it gets quite toasty. So just a few feet over that way, I have a thermometer, a digital thermometer on the floor. It's next to Clara's food. It just went to 60, okay? And I bet you behind me, this is probably 68, maybe pushing 70. My floor is weird. So there's this like halfway between a crawl space, halfway between a basement below me. It's like a utility space. You have to kind of crawl down in there, I guess. But I don't think it's insulated well, because I notice as summer comes and it's still cold down there and it starts to get a little more humid up here, my non-carpeted floor feels damp and slimy. So there's condensation that happens on this faux hardwood floor, which I think is like one of those stick-on laminate things. So it's like a fancy sticker. And I can't help but wonder how that humid moisture condensation isn't good for the adhesive. Like, that just doesn't work. All right, so I'm just getting to the end of this one here. I'm going to make a little knot. Okay. Set that aside. All right, so I have, uh-oh. Sorry about that. Let's do this. Keep the curtain, Clara. Oh, man. Okay. Hang on. We gotta do something. We're gonna put the curtain behind me. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So, here we go. All right, so there's your seam. This is what it looks like opened up. That's what it'll look like inside. And then you're gonna take your next petal. We'll add that. Okay. And then you're going to sew along this edge as well. And then if you did 4 or 5, add that. So I'm just going to hop ahead to 1 here. Okay, so this is 3 sides. Okay, these are the fatter templates like what you have there. Now, something important to know is on your last side, leave a gap, at least an inch, because you need to turn this guy right side out. Okay, so that's what we'll do now. I like to start with one end and then pull this through. I'm noticing I have like fuzzies everywhere. My velvet and my wool for these all live in the same box. They tend to get all over each other. So my stuffings have velvet. My velvets have stuffings. Okay. So that's what he looks like right side out. And there's my hole. Now let's talk about stuffing. Obviously your period option is going to be wool, okay? What I like about the wool is it makes a nice dense fruit or vegetable, okay? You of course can use polyfill. You can use polyfill, but this is not polyfill. This is going to give you a less dense, fluffier piece of fruit or vegetable, okay? What else did I want to say about this? Oh, if you are lacking, you can use scraps. If you have scraps of wool that you can pull apart, that is totally an option. Now, I'm going to say this big old hand fill is going to fit into this little guy, okay? Now, if you're going to do anything with a point, you'll want to fill in the points first and maybe have something that will help push these in, but I like to just push this in with my fingers, okay? At the quilt shop, they have a thing called the purple thing. That's good for stuffing things in. I actually like using a crochet hook. I've used a pencil before. Oh, one that I really like is actually my longer hairpins. I use hairpins that are generally sold at a Mennonite store, and they're nice and strong, and they have a really great pushability. The points will do narrow things, and then the what do you call it? The curved end, the loop, is good for pushing in batting. Okay, so that's what he looks like at this point. All right, now there's our opening. You're going to want to push in your raw edges so you have a fold. Take your needle and thread, and we're going to close that spot up. Okay, now I got a knot in there. I like to catch under the seam that is there. Make sure all my batting's in. And then I just try not to unthread my needle, because I made the mistake of bringing over the needle with the smallest eye. Oh, there we go. Not bad. All right. So I just go back and forth. I'll do a couple stitches and then I'll pull it tighter. I'm catching the fold. Here we go. That should show you, I hope. Okay. That's it. Do a couple stitches and then pull it taut. I'm realizing I'm not sure exactly where I have my camera pointed each day. Now, of course, yesterday I said this is the same basic shape for the pumpkin, and the template does say tomato or pumpkin. Now, for the pumpkin, you just want to cut bigger leaves, okay? And then, of course, pick a pumpkin-y color. almost closed here. I'm going to have to put a little more thread on here. All right, just knot off. All right. I'm using my tablecloth as a pin cushion. It's a, I'm going to call that a bad habit. I've only been doing that for the length of time I've been doing this. But I need to not get into that because that would be a kitty cat risk, of course. I've been trying to break the put the needle or the pins in the mouth habit that many of us have, or the sticking it in the edge of the couch. So I got this really cute pin keeper. I should have brought it over. I'll bring it over for tomorrow. It's wooden. It has a little kitty cat, but there's a magnet pair on the back, so it'll stick right on my shirt that I'm wearing. Or if I have a shirt that has a little pocket here, it's a perfect spot. So then that magnet, I can just put my pins right here. It's a nice help. Okay, so I was rethreading for the next step. All right, so there's my closed little space. You can see a tiny bit of the red thread there. Now you're going to notice he's a bit elongated and he's not very squished at this point. What we're going to do is we're going to squish him. All right, so we're going to run thread between where all these points come together at the tops and the bottom. Now this is where you're going to want a longer needle. All right, I really do have a much too short needle here with me. Wasn't thinking ahead, so we'll see if I can actually do this. You're sticking your needle up in there and looking for it to come out the top. If your fingers aren't particularly strong, go ahead and get your pliers, okay? All right, do that again. This might be one of those things where you want to have a little thimble for pushing it through from the bottom. This is also one of those spots where a double thread isn't a bad thing, and a big knot is a good thing, all right? Because you are going to be pulling this pretty taut. Really squish those ends together. Now I'm going back and forth several times to get this guy tomato shaped or apple shaped, have you? All right. All right, see how he's getting his shape going there? All right. So this would be the point where if you want to bring in a corner to make one side like the top or the bottom, this is where you can do that. So let's see here. I'll bring this back through one more time. And I did the de-threading thing again. I usually don't unthread my needle quite so much. All right, so I want to bring in kind of like that little corner that's sticking out. So I'm going to bring in this side over here. So I'm going to go down through the center, and then I'm aiming for my side seam here. All right, let's see. Can you see that? Where I've got that coming out? So then I'm going to just come up a wee little bit. Do a stitch up. Okay. And then come back down through to that center. That's going to give me a little dimple. Realizing this little guy might just have to be an apple. He's kind of getting his apple on. Alrighty. Well, about time I did a bowl of fruit. So there's my little apple dimple, or tomato dimple, what have you. Let me just knot him off. And trim the thread off. All right. So then comes the finishing, all right? So on my tomato here, these are wool leaves. You could use wool. You could use velvet. You can embroider these on here. What else? Oh, you could knit or crochet yourself some leaves. Now for the tomato, I did a little loop, kind of like the vine. Over here for the pumpkin, well, I don't want to get you all out. You can see the pumpkin here has this stem. Now what that actually is I took the wool and I cut kind of like a rectangle and I rolled it, whip stitched that, and then added that to the leaves. That's what I think I would do for an apple, except in brown, okay? Roll a little bit of wool for that. And then you're good to go. You'll have a finished tomato or apple or pumpkin or what have you. All right? Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, I see I broke the 20-minute mark. Tomorrow, we'll either do the chili pepper or we will give the pear slash squash a go. Okay? All right, have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.